What's going on with everybody? It's your boy Eric, aka Young God, coming to you live in the Orange Dungeon, giving it to you real raw rugged. And I got somebody on the other line. I'm gonna let him introduce himself.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? I'm here, Eric the Young God. It's Biff Lawson. Doing a lot of stuff right now. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on. You want me to say what I do now, or just saying hi?
Well, before we begin to that, we don't really know each other. This is our first time talking to each other,
Absolutely.
but I think we have something in common that we share that you probably don't know, and that thing is that we both agree that Devin is a piece of shit of a human.
Motherfuck. Oh my God.
We
You know
both
why? You know why I didn't get in the fucking conversation right away when I was trying to get on the Google Hangouts? Because the last call I had before this was it said Devin. It said you and Devin were on a call. So I'm sitting there trying to delete the history. I'm like, yo, I do not want this fucking guy's name. It changed my complete demeanor. Like I got so mad. I'm like, why is that like what if I got subpoenaed? And somebody's looking at my Google history and they see Devin's fucking disgusting, horrible, dirty ass name in my call, So I was kind of working on that. I cleared everything, I erased everything, I reset it just to get Devin up out of here. I can't stand that son of a bitch.
And for the people who do not know who Devin is, he's not worth mentioning. So I'm not going to explain who Devin is. Devin is a hilarious attempt of a human. He's a terrible person, and that's all the attention that Devin's going to get. Now back to you. Back to you.
Let me just say one more thing. I'm going to quote Michael Scott here. If I was in a room with Hitler, Osama bin Laden, a gun with 2 bullets, and Devin, I would shoot Devin twice.
I agree. No, I definitely agree. That is the most honorable thing you could do in that situation. There's nothing else you could do.
I can't stand him.
But for the people who do not know who you are, explain a little bit what you do.
So my name's Biff Lawson. I started out in media doing podcasts similar to this great podcast I'm on. And I finessed that experience on a resume and then started working as a producer in television, reality TV, starting out on Black Ink. I finessed that into another show, Hustle and Soul. Then I got shows for the History Channel, Food Network, anything you could discover. Discover anything you could literally discover on TV. I've probably done it. Even the Discovery Channel. And then now I produce Live PD, and I just finished a run with the First 48. They're airing right now the Homicide Atlanta series and the 3-hour special coming up after that. But I'm a senior producer for Live PD right now on A&E. That's like the #1 shows with Friday and Saturday nights. Big show on the weekend. Huge social media. And then I've also needed something to do for the other days of the week. So I'm a wrestling producer right now working with Major League Wrestling. I just got back a little while ago from Chicago. We had a pretty big show this weekend. So I'm doing that, do a little bit of writing for WWE and stuff like that. So I'm all over the industry, and I started just like this on a podcast,
Well,
garage band.
For an ignorant Negro like myself, when you say producing, what exactly does it mean to produce?
Cool. So producing on different projects means different things. Like as a producer, let's say for Black Ink. For Black Ink, it's already filmed. Everybody, there's a producer there that, tells the story of what happened, and they report back to us what happened, and they write it down in a concise manner. This person punched that person in the face 3 times, went through the door, and what we take from the real live footage, because reality TV is real. Some of the stuff, there's some elements that may be kind of forced into them. We might have a secret crazy person in there that we push into the room to make the situation more tense, but what happens, and that's what goes on television. Mm-hmm. So what a producer does in the field that would be there is trim the fat. Okay, for 6 hours, they were just doing nothing. But the only good part of it is this 20 minutes where she and her ex-boyfriend broke up. So they tell it, they give us that story. This person and that person broke up. And as a producer like I am, which is in post-production, they would give me that story. They're like, okay, girl A and husband B broke up over girl C. And they'd be like, tell that story in the most clean and concise way and make it as interesting as possible, because from that angle, we're looking at it from every which way. We can look at the reaction on person A's face. We can look at the reaction on person B's face. So that's why it looks so clean, because somebody like me comes in and tells a story and put all the Lego pieces into place and make it like a Tetris, make it a clean line, a story that's concise from A to B. So that's on regular reality.
No, Johnson. So basically, you're like a main editor.
No. There's an editor that I tell the story. I build the story for what it is. And, make you like put the words together in a concise manner. You know, I cut out all the nonsense, and then there's an editor that comes in, makes it all clean, and adds music and sound effects and drops all the stuff out. So we were just like reiterating the story in that sense. What happened? We're just like, you know, it's like a game of telephone. We're saying they tell us what happened, we see it, we tell it our way, and then, you know, somebody else sees. That's what the executive producer is like. Oh well, it's missing this. Let's add that. So on Live PD, I'm a segment producer. So that's like the live version of Cops right now. So that's pretty much, we have like no control over what's happening. We're watching everything. And on that, it's kind of the same. We're telling the story, but I would consider Live PD a good way to look at that is like, you know, you watch YouTube videos and you show it to your friends and hope they think it's funny. It's pretty much like that on a professional level. Like we're watching everything and we're telling the story that of what we saw. We're like, okay, here, this was cool. That was cool. And the story ends right here. Maybe, you know, maybe it's funny. Maybe anybody else likes it. But it's all about telling a story. Now with Major League Wrestling, it's completely different because there's no story to be told. You know, there's a lot of control that we have over what's going to happen. So I sit there with the talent and go over what's going to be said, go over who's fighting who, try to, you know, mine ideas and create something out of completely nothing. So it's like different levels of producing. There's like, you know, post producing, there's live producing, and then there's like creation producing where I'm telling my own story. So just basically differently telling a story on every show. Like whatever you're going to be doing, let's tell the story, and how we're going to do it depends on what show you're on.
Now, it's interesting that you bring up stories because it's a lot that I want to unpack what you said, but we're going to go a little bit out of chronological order, and we're going to tell a very fragmented story right now. So let's go backwards a little bit, and let's go, where are you from?
Originally, I'm from New York. I'm from Harlem. I live in the Bronx right now, but I've been in New York all my life. I never lived anywhere else. I lived in Jersey briefly, but I'm from the East Coast, New York City.
So the reason that I asked you that, and I brought it back because I want to get this out the way, everybody knows this. I think New York is the most terrible place in probably North America.
You're not right. You're not wrong. If I didn't have to work in New York and LA wasn't LA, you know, and TV was more respected in LA, I would live in LA or I'd live in London or wherever else. But like I'm kind of golden handcuffs stuck in New York because my industry's here. You know, my family's starting to move away, but I'm stuck here with work. I'm like, damn, I would leave if I could.
So
but New York is.
So what don't you like about New York?
It's crowded, it's cold, and it's not authentic anymore. There's nobody really from New York anymore. Everybody here is from like the Midwest. They're like cosplaying New York. Like I'm a real New Yorker. I've been here my entire life, so I know how things should go. But there's just a whole bunch of people that are like blowing that up now, and there's like new rules. And I'm like, wait, I'm from here. How are you telling me how to do things? You fucking dude from Minnesota, you know, like whatever. But that's how it goes. But New York's cool. So why do you think it's so bad? What do you hate about this shitty place?
The people there are some of the most terrible people. I think black people from New York are not really black people. I think they're a different breed of black people. I think New Yorkans are just terrible, man. Like
I'll explain it why in a pretty tidy manner.
Okay.
So this is like from an original New Yorker. New York's always been shit. Like everything you touch, you would think that there's homeless person, HIV positive jizz on it. So you don't want anything to touch you. You don't want to touch anything. And everybody that comes up to you, you assume is automatically crazy because that's the only way you can be safe around here, by pushing everybody away, being rude to everybody because, you know, you don't want to be that one person that's like, hey, what's going on? Oh, poke with HIV needle. And, you know, you don't want to get that kind of situation going. And that's why everybody's mean. And that's how it was before. But now New York's like fucking Disneyland and really nice. And everyone is like just cosplaying being mean. They're just being mean for no reason. I'm like, people are normal. You don't have to be an asshole to everybody. You know, so there are people that just kind of mirror that meanness, but it's not with good reason any longer. The place
it's like they're trying to impersonate what they envision a New York.
Exactly. That's why everybody wants to live in Brooklyn. Brooklyn's shitty. I hate Brooklyn. I used to live there and I can't stand it. And that's why everybody just goes to Brooklyn. And then they're shocked when they're robbed or, you know, the place is shitty or they have roaches and mice because you're living in a shitty place.
Yeah.
That's pretty much. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, the way I was exposed to a lot of New York culture, like I listen to rap, of course, a lot of rappers in New York. But where I really got exposed to New York culture was battle rap, because battle rap is, you know, like the hub of New York is like the hub of like battle rap. And a lot of the biggest battle rappers are from New York. So that's where I just kind of like scene and got all of, you know what I'm saying, the New York feels from is battle rap. So you being from New York, have you ever paid attention to battle rap?
Oh yeah, I used to actually be involved in battle rap myself. I used to rap before I did podcasting.
Really?
Funny thing. Yeah, and it's interesting because that's like our heritage here. A lot of people are in like that's the whole thing. It's such a juxtaposition of new people and old people. Like why New York rap isn't what it used to be is because everybody that was here that was rapping that did the papoose style, maybe aggressive battle raps, they're still on street corners doing that shit in the South Bronx and Harlem, still thinking they're going to get a deal when there aren't record deals like there used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So you remember when Kendrick Lamar dropped that Control freestyle calling everybody else out?
Yeah.
Every other corner you go in the Bronx, you see some like 40-year-old dude that's just still thinking if Jay-Z comes up on him and hears him, he's going to sign him. Still spitting that shit against Kendrick Lamar, still spitting the same style, talking about bars. So it's like if you go back to the 90s and then you look at somebody, you're like, yo, why are you still in this Run DMC shit? It's like Snoop Dogg day. It's like everybody's kind of lost to time here, and battle rap is great. But yeah, battle rap, it's huge. It used to be really big here. That's what all we used to do. We used to get the DJ Clue CDs and we used to just listen to hardcore freestyles years ago, but that kind of went away in culture, but it's still like in the main underbelly. That's what everybody does here still. But that's why there's no hit songs that come out of New York.
So when you were a rapper, what type of rapper were you? Were you battle rap influenced?
My first rap song, I only did it because I wanted to diss this kid that I know named Frank. I didn't like this motherfucker. So the first word out my mouth was like, fuck Frank. And I did it kind of as a gag. And they were like, yo, you got some flow to you. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll just continue to impersonate Jim Jones and Cameron. And hopefully you think that's cool and just get as far as I can get with that. But over time, I developed my style, and I still had that same energy, you know, because that's the best thing to talk about. I can't rap about my fucking almond milk in the fridge, but I can rap about somebody that I hate and get fuel and creativity through that. But that's what I was involved heavily in battle rap. I actually did a major battle rap. I don't know if Amp was involved, but it was online many years after I stopped rapping, and I got demolished. I was destroyed.
Who did you rap against?
It was this kid that Amp and I know his name was Edo Star, white kid, Florida. And
familiar with him.
Okay, so you know Edo. So Edo, he hit me up one day. He's like, yo, I'm about to diss you in a song. Don't take it personally. It's out of respect. And I'm like, guess what? I'm gonna come back at you after I hear that shit. And he thought I was bullshitting, but I was like, okay, because nobody really knows that I used to rap and I got some flow in me and I could actually do it if I wanted to. So he dropped his song and I came right back at him with a song. He dropped another song and I came right back at him with another song. So then he dropped this fucking 10-minute track, beat after flow switch after flow switch. And it was incredible. He talked about my dad. He talked about my mom, my grandpappy. He completely went at me as hard as he can go. And I respected it. And because I wasn't a rapper by trade anymore, and he was, I bowed out. I was like, look, I'm not, it would be stupid for me to win this battle because there's no tomorrow for me in rap, but for you, there's your whole thing. So I selected the hardest Jay-Z beat. Again, it was like battle rap, something from like his older days, the Dynasty. And I came on it real hard. And I started to be like, yo. And then I just apologized. Profuse. I was like, I'm so sorry. I never meant for it to get this far. And you know, it was kind of a fake out. Everybody's like, yo, this battle is heating up. But I just took the L respectfully because that's what I can do. I'm like, nothing happened to me because of it. I'm still successful, but it was great. Edo was cool. He was respectful. And I heard a podcast. He was actually on Random Acts of Podcast. And I heard him, this is kind of recently, I heard this. He said if I would have dropped another track instead of the apology, he would have bowed out. So I regret that kind of now.
You could have took the W. You could have taken the W.
But it was his W, man. I love Edo. So I'd rather him have taken that. But he came at me pretty hard. And it was messy.
Are those still online?
They're still online. If you check SoundCloud out, if you search for Biff Lawson, you're probably going to hear some freestyles that I did randomly, and you're definitely going to hear the Edo Star stuff. But you're only going to hear his side because we did this podcast. I might just release my side of the battle rap. I didn't think anybody cared anymore, but I might have to put it out now just to come back and get this whole story online again.
You might have to, man. You definitely might have to.
Yeah, but I smoked him low key though. I came
with
some
bars.
I'm
gonna have to listen.
I got at him. I didn't slump on it. I came with my shit.
You might have took an L in that, but you didn't take an L in this first 48 Atlanta thing because I was watching that, right? So I was already watching it. I listened to the pod because you did the podcast probably like in episode 3. And I was like, whoa, this nigga's like a part of this? I was like, well, that's hard because I was already watching it because I watch 60 Days In. That's something that's on A&E as well. And 60 Days In come on like right after First 48. So I watch all of that, and I was very intrigued in that. So I just kind of want to touch on First 48 because I feel like, you know, a lot of black people watch that show. That's like it's like one of black people's favorite television.
First 48 was good shit, man. It was actually interesting. A funny first fact about First 48 is that they never heard the Migos song. First 48.
They never heard what?
The Migos song. Migos on their first mixtape that popped, they had that track.
First
48.
48. Yeah.
They never heard the fucking song. I come in there my first day, I'm blasting that shit. I'm like, yo, yeah, you know, I'm with it. I'm on the First 48 right now. Migos. No one knows what I'm talking about. They're like, what? Who? I don't listen to rap.
Hold on, time out. Where you keep going? So does First 48 and the people behind it, do they know that like rap culture like embraces First 48 at all?
I was the black guy on the post-production side of First 48. Hella black cops, hella black victims, hella black suspects. But as far as the side of being a producer on the show and telling the story and making it something and making it to TV, I was the black guy. There was a black girl too in my position. There's a black guy, black girl, Indian girl, Hispanic person. You know, it was multicultural, but just quota levels. It wasn't a bunch of black dudes on the show, but it was me. So they had no idea of hip hop culture, but I embraced it fully when I was on there. Kind of like I made my stuff sound a little more soulful. I tried to have some Kanye influence, come at it a different way. I had some more drum heavy stuff. That's how I looked at it, because I was like, yo, hip hop culture fucks with this. Pay some homage to it.
So when you say that, like, can you break down what did, like, give me something that you did during that series, like something that either you like chopped up or you told, like, because I'm trying to like get a grasp of like what were you behind doing that specifically.
So my first episode was it was called For a Friend, and I don't remember the other part, but it was a new officer from Atlanta, Detective Philemon. It was his first case as lead detective. He was trying to catch these two kids. Like they were like 5 people in a car, but 2 of the guys in the car were planning to rob 2 of the other guys in the car. So they just pulled a gun on them, and one of the guys that they were trying to rob jumped in front of his friend. So he held his buddy down, and you know, they were trying to rob him. He got in front of the gun, so he got shot. Everybody else got the fuck out of there. So that was my first episode, and then there was another part of it. It was a 2-part episode where there was like some meth heads gambling and selling a Ford Focus. So that was one of the episodes of the last season before the Homicide Atlanta. And the Homicide Atlanta thing, to be honest, it was already kind of halfway done. I got back on it because they had to make some changes. So for the most part, it was already kind of rolling, and I did it. But what we would do a lot of the times, specifically what I did when I started out, I cut all the online content for the Facebook, because they just give you free reign. They're like, if you see any extra stories, just tell them. So what my specialty was a lot of the stuff I did aside from my main episodes. 2 of them haven't aired yet. That's why I don't want to give any spoilers. They're coming out like in the fall. Okay. But I would do a lot of the funny stuff because I come from comedy, podcasting, and everything like that. So I have a sense of humor, and they picked up on that right away. They're like, okay, let's cut some funny internal videos to the police department. You know, make some hilarious shit. So I cut a retirement video for Sergeant Dave Walker, but I made it like, you know, I got some crackheads involved, like shouting them out, some hip hop shit. I made it look real cool. And I did a lot of funny stuff. Even in my episode For a Friend, it was episode 374, but I don't know what that translates to TV, but it was on last season for sure. It's still like on demand. There's a lot of jokes in there. I kind of okay. Here's one thing that I tagged on the show that's mine personally. There was like a little roast battle between the cops because his name was Detective Diamatopoulos Philemon, and he's like a Creole dude. Plus he's African, so his name was hard. So the other detective was in the car just roasting him like, "What's your name? Where are you from? I thought you was from St. Louis with that name." So they just roasting each other back and forth, and it has no real place in the First 48 because it's not about the murder. It's not about anything. It's just a Southern dude roasting an African dude for his name.
No,
And
this aired already, right? Because I think I
yeah,
remember. Yeah,
this
yeah,
aired
I seen it.
recently.
Yeah, I seen it.
The two black dudes, the older
Yeah.
dude with the glasses. So
Mhm.
so that's me. I was like, yo,
Okay.
I died for that. I was like, look, I like this. This humanizes the character. I went to hell for that because they were like, nah, we don't really need this. This doesn't have anything to do with the story. I'm like, it's funny. He's never been the lead detective before. Let's make him. Let's give him some. Let's humanize him a little bit. Let him get roasted. Everybody gets roasted on their first day at work or whatever. But that's kind of what I do. I always infuse funny stuff. And on Live PD too. Live PD, since it's live, there's a lot of funny shit that happens. For example, last week's episode, it wasn't a serious call, but some girls, you know how they have the motorized scooters in like Walmart or something like that?
Yeah.
So these girls didn't want to walk to their car, and they stole the scooters out of the car to ride to their car, drop their shit off, and drive off. So they call police. There happened to be an officer right there. He pulls up on them, and he's like, take the goddamn scooters back in the store." And they just left. But visually, it was funny because they were just filming them in like a little car race, and it was just like a kind of an Easter egg that I just threw in there. I like I always throw funny stuff on whatever I do. That's my bread and butter. The humor in it. And that's what I do with everything. I always throw a little bit of spicy funny. So did you see that roast?
Yeah, I did. I know exactly because it was like at nighttime, right?
Yeah, it was at nighttime. These two dudes in the car. It had nothing to do with anything, man. But I went very hard to get that on there. I was like, yo, I want them roasting each other.
No, that was funny. That was pretty funny.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. That was cool.
What is the what's the light skinned dude name that be having a toothpick in?
That is Detective. What the hell is his name? The glasses, right?
Yeah, with the glasses.
Damn, I can't think of his name. So many detectives I work with. Let me just do a quick Googles here.
Is that Dave Walker? That's not dude. Dave Walker.
Dave Walker's a older white dude from Tulsa. This dude's from Atlanta.
Yeah, that's the dude from Atlanta.
You know, there's another show with those guys in Atlanta too. He has a different show. Atlanta Detective. What's it? Fallen Angel. It's already coming up. Hold on, let me look at this guy's name. The hell is his name?
I forget his name. The reason I bring him up because that's a smooth dude right there. That's really random. I just thought about it.
He is so smooth that it could be, because there's other episodes going on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is we have a lot of microphone audio going through. So say there could be like, for example, that case that the two officers are roasting each other. That could be happening, and they're really cops, so they're going to be there regardless. It's not that they're booked to film or whatever. Yeah. They're there in the office. So a lot of the time, I would have to go he would ruin scenes because he's in the back cracking everybody up. He's telling jokes, and everybody's like, "Yo, what the hell's going on?" It's like a real serious. Somebody's calling it like, "Oh, your son has been murdered. We found his body," and he's in the back roasting people. And he's smooth. And he's a single dad too. I'm trying to think of his name. Why does his name elude me right now?
I can't even remember his name, to be honest.
I'm looking at his picture, but I'm stupid. And my phone doesn't seem to be working right now.
What is his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. I just can't remember.
Me too.
But no, yeah, I would imagine somebody like him, like if you wanted to, you could base a lot of content around him if you had to.
Ironically, he had another show that he didn't tell the producers of First 48 about. That was on not ID, but a channel like ID, but like kind of a lower level ID channel.
Really?
Yeah. So he went and did his own thing, and everyone's just like, "Dude, that's not okay. Why would you be doing another show before you tell us?" And it's the same thing because they get this Homicide Atlanta is a spinoff. It's a spinoff of the First 48. It's 6 episodes plus a 3-hour special that hasn't aired that. And that shit kept me there long nights. I worked mad hard in it. But he had another show. I'm almost that's the people I worked with. I'm about to say David Quinn.
That's his name.
Officer, yeah, Detective Quinn. Good. So Detective Quinn is hilarious. He's the realest dude. I know he had like some family issues and he raised a whole bunch of kids by himself. He's a hilarious dude, but he's really fucking real and he talks it up. He's the one person that doesn't bullshit the guys. He's like, "Yo, you're going to jail for this shit. Like, I'm gonna tell you straight up." And he's very real with everybody on the show. And he's a virtuoso of police work. He's really good.
No, yeah, definitely. He's one of those dudes that like I said, he's a smooth guy. You could definitely create a lot of content around him.
He's really like that. He's not putting on. He's not doing that because the cameras are there. Like I said, because he's the same way when the cameras aren't on him. in the background. He's cracking shit. So I've tried to throw him in a bunch of episodes. I might have even throw him in that episode that we were talking about. For a friend. I think I might have threw him in there just randomly because I always liked him.
No, yeah. Quinn is great. Other shows though, like what else? Because you said the History Channel. I'm a big History Channel guy. So what have you worked on the History Channel?
I did a show on the History Channel called Brothers in Arms. So that show, we did it like 2017, and it didn't air until like late 2018 because it was basically the concept of Brothers in Arms. It's like Pimp My Ride, but for guns. So these two crazy former Army dudes out in Nevada that would get like an old gun that doesn't work. They'd restore it and then they'd modify it crazy. So it was like they'd restore an old gun and then they'd like come up with some crazy shit. Like one episode they did like a double barrel AK-47 on some Call of Duty shit, and then they made like a silencer for a cannon. And they're like, "Yo, you can't make a silencer for a cannon." And they're like, "Yeah, we can." So it was like pretty good show. I don't think it got great critical reception or ratings, but it was a fun show to work on. There was like great technology. We used a lot of drones and slow motion and a lot of explosions, and we'd blow drones up, which was always cool. But that show got put on the shelf. Guess why? Because of that shooting in Vegas. The Vegas shooting happened. Everything got weird. So we're working on this great gun show with like 6 episodes. I don't think it got picked up again for a second season. I'm not sure, but I'm not working on it again anymore. But so once the Vegas thing happened, the network executives called the next day like, the nation's not really feeling guns right now. So I took that as, okay, I'm gonna go do something else. I'm gonna finish out what I can, and I'm gonna go elsewhere. That's when I started working on this show about Nikola Tesla on Discovery. It's because it was like it was another cool show like that. It was recreating Tesla's death ray. So it was like Tesla declassified, recreating the death ray. That was for Discovery. I left the history show for that. But the history show was pretty cool. Have you ever seen it, Brothers in Arms? It was pretty.
I haven't seen Brothers in Arms. You said they're basically restoring guns. That sounds very interesting. I've never seen it.
It is. It's just the climate. Like that's the weird thing about life, man. The climate of the nation could really shelf people. And those shows, like a lot of people work on those shows. Just the guy that gets the coffee, the guy that signs everybody's paychecks, the accountants, the producers, the editors, the people learning, the associate producers, the assistant editors, the CEO. So think about how many people got displaced that had nothing to do with Vegas shooting. So the Vegas shooting's in the news for a couple weeks, but that's a huge staff of people that are out of work, and it's pretty good pay. So if you base your Christmas on like, okay, we're going to be working on this show for the next 10 weeks, and something like Vegas happens, and then it's like, oh, I got 9 weeks to do nothing now. What happens? How am I going to pay the bills? So that happens a lot with TV. Like when shit gets canceled, that's the thing that I don't think people look at. On Twitter, a lot of the time I see people, yeah, I'm glad that show got canceled. Fuck that show. I'm like, yo, there's an accountant that's not going to be able to make rent.
Yeah, like nigga, I had a job. Like, what you talking about? I feel you on that.
I did this show on the Food Channel, Bakers versus Fakers. It was a good show. It was kind of boring. I've seen that before. So yeah, I did Bakers versus Fakers season 2 with Lorraine, and she was hot. I was just looking at her the whole time. I'm like, I kind of like her. She's a model. She couldn't cook, and she didn't like food though. So,
are you on set? Or this is like?
Sometimes I am. For Bakers, I was both. I was on set and off. I was working on it, in post production, and I was there because it was right in Jersey City, and we were doing it in the financial district in New York, so close proximity. But for that show, and that show was self-contained because they're just cooking. By the time they're done cooking, that shit is done filming. It's not they're gonna come back tomorrow and re-break the eggs. It's over. Yeah. But for that show, that shit got canceled like literally an episode in, and it's my mom that kind of broke that to me. So I hit my mom up like, yo, my show's coming on next week, and we're good. And she tried to watch it, and I don't watch it already because I've watched it 1,000 times at work. So I'm like, I'm not watching that shit. So she's like, your show didn't come on. I'm like, your TV's fucked up. So I go into work the next day. There's like a big breakfast, and there's a whole bunch of people around, and they're like, excuse me, everybody. Well, this show's not going to be renewed. They're going in a different direction. So again, the 10 weeks, we're just there like, all right, well, we're already booked for this. They're paying us for it. They're taking care of health insurance, paying us hella money, and we're not doing anything. We're just sitting there. We're still finishing the episodes, but they're never going to air. So we literally did 10 episodes, and I was on set, I was all set, and then it never went to TV. So it's just sitting there in the ether of the world. Somebody has it, but some work I never made it on.
The crazy thing about all of these things, so we went from History Channel to food to First 48, and I would imagine these things interest you. Like when you start working on them, like they actually, oh, this is like really interesting to work on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I like telling stories from different perspectives. Like I've done another show on TLC called I did a lot of tattoo shows, by the way, but this show was called Tattoo Girls, and it was
Okay.
about this all-female tattoo shop in the Bible Belt, like in Springfield, Missouri.
Mm.
So first off, most of the people in the town are super religious, so they don't want you to. They don't even like tattoos. You're like, get out of here. Then they're super misogynistic. So it was kind of an interesting dynamic of the show. But the senior producer, the executive producer of the show is like, okay, I want you to think in terms of being a 55-year-old woman. That's our audience. So me, I'm not a 55-year-old white woman. So for me to take on that challenge as a young urban dude from New York to write from the perspective and reach and contact that audience of a 55-year-old white woman, that's a good challenge for me. Even if I don't like the content of the show that much, or it's just a tattoo show or something like that. Not that it's not good, but say if I'm not interested in, I find solace in other things like that. I'm like, oh, how well can I be a 55-year-old white woman? How well can I connect with them? How easy is that for me? And the fact that I can do it pretty well, that's when I know I started to get really good and started to move up. And then, it's just like anything else. You do what you can at first, and then you move on to doing what you want to. That's why I've moved into like sports, UFC. I'm trying to get into the Knicks, and WWE, which is where I'm pretty much involved with right now. I'm working on that.
Well, it's funny you bring up wrestling because I was going to ask you, you see what just happened between Asuka and girl?
I was I was watching that goddamn Michael Jackson thing, so I haven't seen it yet. But did she get injured?
Apparently she dropped her on her neck and head when she was doing the tombstone, and she got fucked up. And like they said, she wasn't moving.
Who was she working with?
What's the blonde girl? What's the blonde girl? Corey Grace going crazy over.
Mandy Rose.
Mandy Rose.
Damn, I didn't. Oh man, that's terrible. I saw. I'm trying to like avoid the spoilers from Monday Night Raw, kinda. So I wasn't really paying attention. But then I did open my Twitter and I saw Asuka and it looked serious.
Oh
and
no, that was for that wasn't a Raw. That was
that was the house show because that house show I was actually thinking about going to. That's when I talked to you about doing the podcast, and I was like lightweight thinking about going. I'm like, nah, I just landed. I'm gonna order some takeout and just chill, take a nap, and then get up on this. But that's crazy. So she wasn't moving?
That's what I read, and it was like a picture of her just like laying there with like a whole bunch of referees around her. I don't know if she's okay now, but I have no idea what's going on. Because as soon as I seen it, I did the interview with you, so I'm not sure what she got going on.
Oh man, wrestling is crazy, man. You're a fan of wrestling?
Of course, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I got to meet Jim Cornette, right?
Yeah.
I got to meet Jim Cornette this weekend working with him, and he is like one of the most this so far has been probably the most I've learned working in wrestling. I've only been working actually in wrestling for the last couple months, but I got down and he told me all the stories he had, and he told me so many like off camera shit he'll never tell anybody else. But he helped me run a promo class. So that's like what I'm really coming in to do is like write some dialogue and help with that stuff. And me and Cornette just sat there. I sat under his learning tree and learned a whole bunch of stuff. And it's been incredible because that's something that's like nothing else because, literally these are just guys and they're, your character is your character and you're telling your story how you want to tell it. And, as a wrestling fan, you always know, like, why would they do that? Like, I wouldn't do that. Like, why? That shit's dumb. Why would you say that? So I got that whole experience being a wrestling fan and a producer. So I'm like, well, I would tighten that up. I would lose that word, make this guy not look stupid. So I'm like a perfect win for Major League Wrestling right now because they have some of the best wrestling in the world. And then for them to add some spice on to some extra stories that they're already telling good ones, I'm in a good position with them right now.
It's crazy to bring up Jim Cornette because somebody literally, like, right before I did this interview with you, they said I should interview New Jack. And I seen an interview with New Jack and Jim Cornette, but I feel like New Jack is the type of nigga to try to pistol with me if I ask him the wrong question. Like, I don't think I want to interview New Jack. Like, New Jack seems like the type of nigga to like nigga, what you said? Just try to pistol.
Yeah. Those guys are like some of them are real. You got to be careful. You don't want to rub somebody the wrong way. And there's some scary dudes. New Jack, I can imagine, is scary, man. The dude that I'm like most like, I'm not fucking with him the wrong way. Right now, it's the Davey Boy Smith Jr.
Mm.
He's a big dude, man. Like I'm like, oh, I'm a big dude, so I'm like 6'2". I could say 6'3" with the hair, but I'm like 6'2". This dude is like 6'6" and huge. So he's the nicest guy in the world, but I'm like, okay, I gotta be very respectful here. I can't just, I'm not gonna step on his fucking wrestling boots. I'm not gonna, mess with him the wrong way. But that's what it is, especially like, and these guys are real like that. Tommy Dreamer's the nicest guy ever, and the Sandman. I met those guys pretty recently. So ECW guys, maybe you should try New Jack out, man. Hit him up. He might be nice.
I think he literally lives in Jacksonville. Like he lives in the same city as me, but
really.
I don't know if I want to do it.
Funny thing, I was trying to get a job in Jacksonville.
Why?
And, just to spite Devin and Amp. I wanted to spite them and say I could live there because they was talking shit about Jacksonville kind of. I'm like, yo, I'm sure it's lit out there. You're just not lit, Devin. So I was
like, it's funny about I've been low key trying to finesse an AEW job because I don't know exactly what their involvement is going to be in Jacksonville, but low key trying to finesse a job.
Yeah, you should. Maybe we'll talk about that off air.
Yeah, we'll talk about. I'm just putting that out.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I could do something for you with that. Cody and I are pretty cool. I love Cody. Shout out to Cody Rhodes. Shout out to AEW.
You did say that. You did say on the Red Match podcast he was cool.
Yeah, Cody's a hell of a guy, man. He helped me with my production company when I started. I was working on my own production company, and I called it American Dream New Media because I was on the spot in a meeting, and that's the first thing that I could think of. And I'm a huge Dusty Rhodes fan and the American Dream. And then I consider myself the American Dream because I'm not traditionally like the guy that's in television. I'm not traditionally the executive guy in my position. They don't look like me. But the fact that I've done it and done it well, that's what I felt inspired by. Like, this is the American Dream and this is new media. Let's combine the two. And I had my logo based on the Great American Bash old WCW logo. So I hit up Cody. I'm like, hey, I'm doing this kind of as a tribute to your dad, but it's not directly anything involved. I don't want you to, I don't want to heat with you. I don't want you to think I'm trying to rip off the name. And he was like, no, my dad will love that, especially because I used the Great American Bash logo. He was very supportive. He's like, anything he could do for me, he'll do. And that was great. And the same thing I said with him with All In. Did you see All In last year?
Yeah.
With All In, I'm like, look, I know this is a big undertaking. If you need TV producers, I got you. I don't care about money. I'm here to help. I'm here to do whatever you need me to do. But they had it under control. It was like in the works for a long time, and it was a pretty big production. So they didn't really need me there. But, down the line, and when AEW gets rolling with the TV and everything, it's going to be probably I'll be doing some work with them too.
It's fire. That's fire. Hey, man, congratulations. Hey, you was a working nigga, man. You are all over it.
And it's crazy, man. Like 5 years ago, I was just like anybody else on Twitter. I'm talking about my shit. I'm using my hate speech. I'm fucking it up. I'm letting the hate speech fly. And just I feel like I would like to say that I invented the Twitter savage. Like back in the day, because people didn't even know what I was saying. They're like, what? Like I literally got in beef, like physical beef. Like Zab Judah tried to come to my hood and fucking fuck me up over Twitter. Yeah, you can Twitter search Zab Judah and my real name Rudolph Anthony, and you'll see the conversation yourself. It's still up there to this day. Because he was saying something, it was stupid. He was like saying he's got to feed his baby, and I'm like, yo, I said something about a gun. And I don't know what happened, but I was kind of just trying to, put his baby over as being a thug like him. I'm like, yeah, your baby need to have a gun. And he's like, my baby have a gun? What the fuck you talking about? Like, and he got tight. So he knew I was from New York. So he put an APB out on me. Like, anybody know this clown, Rudolph Anthony? I'm about to go see this motherfucker. And had it been today, I would have been doxxed. Everybody would be like, that's him. He lives over there. Go fuck him up. Take your goons from Brownsville or where the fuck you from. Go up to the Bronx. Go up to Harlem. Go find him. And but that was 10 years ago. I was Twitter in 09. But I feel I feel like the Twitter savage thing came a long way. But that was what I was doing, and I'm verified now, so I can't really do that anymore. But yeah. That's where it comes from. That same energy, just being out there, and these people are tangible because they're in the world, they're sharing the world, and that's what Twitter is such a good experience about. It's not like back in the day where we'd have to get a fucking a feather, some ink, and write on a parchment paper and send a letter to somebody and it just goes to a TV studio. I got direct access. I can hit up somebody like, hey, Goldust, you're stupid and I don't like you. You smell bad, and you know, and then that would get directly to him.
Yeah. No, I was about to say, I didn't never have anybody like Zab Juice come at me, but I did have Warren Sapp DM me one time because I remember he was going through foreclosure, and I remember he said something about like, y'all watching this movie on HBO or something crazy, and I was like, I'm pretty sure your cable box doesn't hit triple digits, and he DM'd me and he was like, listen here, fuck nigga. He was just going crazy. And I was like, whoa, Warren Sapp. I did not expect that. So
that CTE kicked in pretty fast. He's like, yo, what?
CTE kicked in. That's crazy, man. Hey, well, Warren Sapp is a Florida nigga, so I'm not going to condone any Warren Sapp slander.
Oh, I love Warren
Sapp. Come and run up on me, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to direct him to you, man. So.
I think that was my favorite Super Bowl celebration taunt. Like, he was just walking through the crowd doing like some big man shuffle. And he was just talking his shit. I like Warren Sapp. I'm a big Warren Sapp fan.
Yeah, Warren Sapp is definitely a foot Warren. But lastly, before we go though, because we can literally talk all day about everything.
Yeah.
One thing I really want to touch on, because I know you said you're really trying to get into the writing with WWE. If you work your way up to a very, very powerful writer spot, I need you to do me a favor, man.
What's that? What you need me to do?
I'm on this website, so like this little sect of wrestling forum that we talked about wrestling, a whole bunch of black dudes. And we do not understand why WWE doesn't use Instagram comedic talents, just like funny people out there. Like they'll have somebody that's like an Instagram comedian, they'll have them backstage, but they won't do like a little short segment with them. They do like a little short segment with like an out of date person. I feel like a lot of these young up and coming people who used to really fuck with WWE, like, you know, these young black people that's like funny or whatnot. I think they should have like a little 20-30 second segment. Raw's like 50 hours. Like they could fit a little short 30 second segment in just to make somebody laugh. I feel like they should really work on using black up and coming youth for like entertainment value. That's how I feel.
You know what it is? I can tell you exactly why that is. There's producers for everything and associate producers for everything. Like even for Up Up Down Down, that was the first offer I had from them. It was like, hey, you want to be an associate producer for Up Up Down Down? I'm like, no. Nothing's wrong with it. I like the show, but it's an internet show. I want to be on the main show. I don't want you to, I don't want to do that for as long as you're going to do it and then not have any place else. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but I'd rather be on the main show. When that's available, we'll do that. But that's why there's and again, it's like it's a position based on qualifications, seniority, because and a lot of the people that qualify for these jobs aren't too hip with young and up and coming viral content. A lot of it is, you got to wear the suit. You did your research last week, so you're coming in with what you're coming in. So if somebody comes in, who would you give me an example of somebody we can possibly make something happen with?
Like a little Instagram comedian.
Yeah.
I see somebody like Spice Adams. I like Spice Adams on Instagram. So, I think he's a really funny dude.
So there's no one that would probably even know about Spice Adams on that level because the younger people aren't too urban, to put it mildly. There's a good amount of people of color working in WWE in a lot of different positions, but a lot of those social media interns are these, freshly out of college kids that are cool, but not that cool. They're maybe just getting on to Baby Shark right now because they've been working and they're probably going to, let's Baby Shark. And you see something corny with the New Day and Baby Shark 2 months from now rather than 2 months ago. So it's really based on who's in there. And that's what I want to bring to that company. That's what I want to bring to MLW. If that's AEW, I want to be working for. That's what I want to do. I want to bring youth. I want to bring, modern urban culture. I want to bring modern culture, period, because I hate that they don't touch on these things when they're hot. Like if you see a Baby Shark promo or reference 2 months from now, you'll remember what we talked about and say, yeah, okay, somebody just heard about it, or it's too big for them not to pay attention to. But they're not. They're always on the reactive side rather than the proactive side, and that's one of the things that I like to bring to the table with them. I'm on top of everything. I know what's going on out here, and that's what it is. But Also, a lot of the guys they have contracts, and it's hard to just go off and do something. You know, they could, but there are consequences to it because of content, and it's not going through the filter of a producer. The language might be unacceptable, or the content surrounding the person. You know, they can do a clean video for WWE, but the other two videos they could be talking, using the hate speech like I was doing before, and then it's like, oh no, we directed all this traffic towards this person, and then so there's always a process of getting the content, getting it okayed, making sure that everything around it's clean, making sure it's released, and we're able to be back. And by the time all that shit's done, it's old.
And to be honest, like to be completely honest, when you really think about it, a lot of that comedy that I'm talking about, it really probably wouldn't go over well with the WWE crowd because for whatever reason, white people, well, I get why white people do not like LeVar Ball. And that LeVar Ball segment on Raw is literally one of the best segments in wrestling history. And the way people talk about that segment, you will think is the worst thing ever. But I don't understand it. Like LeVar Ball gave us pure entertainment and people 100%. Complain about it.
And shouts out to LaMelo with the beat that nigga's ass. That for me, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, did he really just did this? Like, is he really just say beat that nigga's ass on a hot microphone on a live television show?
That was the icing on the cake.
And they let and that's how out of touch some of the production, the older senior production staff that's been in place is, because there's a delay. They could have got that. They could have dropped the microphone on that. They probably didn't even
hear it though. I don't know if they heard it.
That's what I'm saying. They probably it didn't even register. They didn't even pick that up that was said, because it's like they probably got it in one of those blue check Twitter Hill think pieces. Like, that's probably where they heard about it and apologized and made it something like that. But they weren't. You could have blocked. If I was in there, I would have been like, yo, kill that. He can't say that. But there's probably there's Kevin Dunn and there's all these other guys that have just been there forever. They're not even paying attention to something so minute. But I give them credit for the time they did get Lonzo when they got LaMelo and LeVar. That was timely. That was timely for them. That was when that was the thing. And I give them credit for that. It didn't go well for them. So that may be why they don't do it all the time.
Even though they didn't block out LaMelo saying beat that nigga ass, I thank God they didn't, because that literally was like
that was the best part. Yeah. LeVar running. Yeah. And then it comes down to your audience too. There's a lot of, like, if you look at the fans, like the actual fans, there's like, how the internet wrestling community might not like Roman Reigns. The real fans are Roman Reigns girl, WWE 2111 on Twitter. Those are the type of people. They love what they're doing. They actually love Roman. They love all the bullshit that everybody complains about. And that's what they're in for. And a lot of the time I could search something. I'm like, yo, that sucked. Like, why are we even on this situation right now? Like, why are we watching? Like, why are we doing this again with Roman? But there are people that are like, yay, Roman. Yay, Braun, or whatever, like whoever the heels are, whoever the faces are, they go for it, and that works.
Not yet. No, I feel like you when you're editing or when you're just doing a show in general, you have to know your audience. So
yeah, and it's a big audience to feed, and that's like me right now. I have a large growing Biff hive of live PD fans, so I got super squeaky clean one time. I let a Me Too joke slip the other day, and it didn't go well. I was outside of a bar with my homie after live PD, and a girl, like these white girls that were on this they were having a bridal shower or whatever, and they just came up to me and grabbed my beard, like, oh, you're this and that. I'm like, yo, I just got Me Too'd outside of this bar, and it was a joke, and like somebody really was like in my DMs, like, oh, look, we really like you, but I was molested by this guy, and I'm like, yo, I was kidding. So I like just went and told the story, like, yeah, something happened to me too. And I apologize and I deleted that. I'm like, can you delete your comment? Let's not make this a thing. And it's like, you got to be careful. I wanted to get your thoughts on AEW though, man. I'm very hyped for these guys. What do you think of that promotion so far?
Well, a lot of that's crazy. I didn't even know they were. The initial rally was in Jacksonville. Right?
Yeah. Did you go to that?
Didn't even know that was happening until it was live. So I was like, I texted Amp and I was like, this was happening? He was like, yeah. And I was like, didn't know this was happening. So I watched that, and I watch all the Being the Elites. So I'm watching all like little behind the scenes stuff they're doing and whatnot. and I'm interested in what they're trying to do because I'm a video game guy and I play 2K, of course. I'm a young black male, and a lot of the things about 2K and Madden are they're lacking because they don't have any competition, right?
Yeah.
So WWE, a lot of people might say that they're lacking in some departments because
they don't have
who they're competing with,
yeah,
they're having competition. So this and the fact that they're getting picked up by a major cable network, I'm very interested to see where that goes. So yeah, I'm very interested to see where this lands.
I'm telling you, we're on the cusp of a new revolution in wrestling right now. Like I said, I'm gonna have to put over MLW. I'm working for Major League Wrestling, Court Bauer. There's like it's almost a dream team. We come together like once a month. Like this person from TV, you got this guy that's a horror writer, this guy that's an executive producer for Major League Sports, and then we get great announcers. We got Jim Cornette that's coming with his knowledge of promos. That is wrestling even before AEW. I love AEW and those guys, but right now we're on cable television live at least once or twice a month. And they're dying for that content. They're giving us the freedom. If there's like, hey, if it's going long, we got a 15-minute overrun. So let's keep it going. It's live wrestling. And aside from WWE, and WWE sometimes doesn't even feel live anymore. It's like, okay, it's 11 o'clock. You're going off the air right now. There's no chaos that might happen. This is exactly what's supposed to happen. That feeling is gone. So right now with like we had the show on Saturday on BN Sports. It was called Intimidation Games. And the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon and Ray Phoenix fought the Team AAA. And Ray Phoenix goes right into the camera. We're live on BN Sports, like 100% live. And he looks into the camera and says, I'm the best wrestler in the fucking world. And I'm like, oh shit, that's live wrestling right there. We couldn't stop that. There was nothing that could have been like, we couldn't prepare for that. And it was what it was, And Laparca, I love Laparca. Him live is kind of scary. We almost had like a riot the other day because some shit got out of hand with Laparca trying to, do his craziness. And being live is amazing. And live wrestling. My bad.
No, my fault.
But live wrestling is coming back with us and, new venues like Impact being on Twitch and all these different ways to feed in live and Ring of Honor having live IPBVs. Live wrestling is coming back, and there's a huge pool of talent of guys out there. Like they're AEW guys, they're MLW guys, they're Impact guys, and then, they intermingle with each other. And, I know guys from Impact. I know Rich Swann. Shout out to Rich Swann. These guys are great. And it's just amazing to see what's happening. And you could definitely understand why guys that are in this WWE environment are looking to get outside of that bubble because we can be creative outside of it. And it's no longer just, like an armory somewhere and the clips show up on YouTube and Botchamania 6 months later. It's actual live television properties. We have the truck outside, the truck that Kevin Nash threw Rey Mysterio is outside. We're broadcasting. We got the satellites. We got the live feed. So it's coming back. And AEW, once they get in the game and they get a major TV deal, just going to make it bigger.
It's funny because NXT feels a little bit more how you're talking about. Like when I watch NXT, it feels more, I don't know. It just feels like the talent, it feels like they're having more fun. It feels like they have more creative, like involvement behind what they're doing.
Yeah.
When you're watching a wrestling is like it's like a production, but it feels like a production. I feel like NXT feels like that. Like an indie show doesn't feel like a production. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that feel.
You don't know what's going to happen. The talent, and then that's what it is. It's kind of like college basketball.
Yeah.
College football. These dudes are playing for contracts. Sometimes they're playing for that. They have a chance to make their name. If you're not gonna look in the camera at WrestleMania and say you're the best wrestler in the fucking world. Because that's a major broadcast. That's WrestleMania. That's like there's going to kids and old people alike and all across the nation. And there's not much room to be creative and take risk and be dangerous. And that's what indie wrestling's all about, being dangerous, taking risks and making stuff happen. And that's what I like about it. I like taking it. I love my indie stuff out of left field, creative and chaotic. I used the word chaotic neutral with Jim Cornette, and he liked that. I said that to him today about something. And I said, let's make this feel like real chaotic neutral. Let's make it a big war. Let's make it feel this way. And Jim Cornette's like, I like the way you think. And I was like, I'm a fan of yours. I've been watching you since I was a little kid. And I didn't do that. I was like, oh, thank you, sir. Very
Yeah.
happy to do it. But yeah, like I said, the taking risk is good, and that's what it's that sense of danger in indie shows. I mean, God forbid any of these guys ever get hurt, but the sense of danger. I'll give you a story about some dangerous shit that almost happened to me on my first show. I was running the hard cam on the first Major League Wrestling live broadcast in December in Miami. So I'm on top of like a Hell in a Cell kind of thing that they built. And I'm just standing there. I'm a big dude. So I'm up there already like, I don't want to fall off this shit. I'm probably going to die. I don't want this shit to fall through. I don't want anything to happen. And, you know, they let the guys know, don't climb that fucking Hell in a Cell. We got $300,000 worth of cameras up there and producers and, you know, shit can go real left. One of the luchadors immediately climbs this fucking Hell in a Cell structure. And I'm there on the hard camera on the live broadcast. So I'm like, I have two options right here. I can say, fuck my hard cam and get out of Dodge and try to get out of this guy's way and hope this goes well, or I'm going to fucking go down with the ship. And because it was live television, I said, I'm going to go down with the ship. If that happens, that's what happens to me. So the thing starts shaking. This guy climbs up to the top of the fucking Hell in the Cell where I am with the hard cam. So I don't even know how much of it we filmed, and jumped on top of La Parka. And it was amazing. You know, another camera caught it. You know, I didn't die, but the fact that I was prepared to go down with the fucking ship if that whole thing fell down and it was a big scene, that's what I'm there for. You know,
that's amazing.
It takes balls to do that because, you know, it was scary. We were pretty high up, and that thing could have tipped right over because it wasn't built for guys to climb. But that's the thing about indie shows. I was El Gringo Loco and MLW. He was prepared to make a name for himself and do that whole thing. And there's nothing we could say. It's not like WWE. We're going to fine him and say, hey, you shouldn't have done that. You're suspended and we're going to punish you. It's like, fuck, live by the rules, man. Live by extreme rules. Just do what you got to do.
No, I need to start talking to you about wrestling more, because Amp has literally the most terrible wrestling opinions I've ever heard. I don't know how much of his opinions you know, but God, they're awful.
What does he say? Is he like a Roman Reigns guy?
No, he's just like, he's anti everything that's not WWE. Like, he literally would jump he would jump in front of a bullet for WWE. Like that whole Saudi Arabia thing. I'm telling you why it's bad. He's like, no, man. The people, they're going though. Like I'm like, bro, this is terrible. Like they should not be doing this. Like,
yeah, that was a bad time.
I
get it. He's a lifer, you know. When you're a lifer, you got to defend what you know, and it's scary because, you know, competition isn't bad. You know, it's not like we're going to be kicking the WWE's ass in numbers and ratings and money, but what we're going to be kicking their ass in is critical acclaim and storytelling and danger and bringing it back to the territory days when it's like, okay, this is my champion, this is the guy. And that's fine. And Amp does have terrible opinions, I'm sure. I can see that. I can see Amp being like a lay cool kind of guy. Jinder Mahal loves that style of work. He loves the chin lock.
The chin lock. That's hilarious.
I love Jinder, but if you watch Jinder's matches, sometime before he throws a punch, he throws a headlock. That's literally all he can do. And he like, I've watched him like take a couple punches and then just throw on a rear naked choke, sit there and pose and, you know, flex his muscle the whole time till somebody gets out. He tags out. He might throw. Just take a look at that. And we're trying to.
I will. I never realized that. That's funny.
So I always do it when I'm watching Jinder matches. You know, not to bury the guy or anything like that, but I'm watching to see how long before he does the rear naked choke, and it doesn't take long usually. It's right
hilarious. No, I'm actually subscribed to MLW as well. So
MLW, man, I really like I'm having so much fun. Like I literally left. I was at Live PD Friday night. I went home. I had a drink. I went to a party because I was like, I'm not going to sleep. I might as well do something. Got on the plane, had the production meeting, and I saw Jim Cornette, and I was like, holy shit, I'm in a meeting with Jim Cornette. This is my life. I love it. And went to the arena, start to scout cool locations, start to think of some new stuff I can do, start to figure out how I could use the location to my benefit, how to tag Chicago. Got right to it, went through the live show. It was incredible. And I didn't sleep. I haven't slept since like Thursday. You know, I've been just up, going. Today I landed. My flight got canceled because of a blizzard. So, you know, I stayed all day and filmed some stuff with Brian Pillman Jr. and Filthy Tom Lawler. We filmed a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't have, that we wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And it's like I don't feel tired. I don't feel like I worked. Nothing. It's just like I had fun. It's like, you know, back in the day playing SmackDown versus Raw. Like, this is fun. This is what I want to do. I want to make this story good. I want to have some fun. I want my matches to look good.
No, yeah, I mean, wrestling is amazing, man. And why I'm subscribed to MLW, I will let you know off air because some wild shit on there that I feel like people don't realize is on there. Let you know that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. MLW.
But no, what you gonna say?
No, just putting it over. MLWYouTube.com.
Yeah, definitely shout out to MLW. And anything else you have to say before we're out of here, man? Because like I said, we have to do this again later because there's so much other stuff I didn't even hit on, but we can literally talk.
Dude, anytime you need me on, I'm yours. Just hit me up. I'm especially like persons of color that love the wrestling business that are my, you know, I could talk wrestling all day. Yeah. I literally, you know, I worked it. I was watching All In just a little while ago. I worked at MLW 4 days of wrestling straight away, and then I came home, and the first thing I did is turn it All In. Like, oh, this is my dude MJF. I was just with MJF, and I'm like, I want to see his match. You know, and I'm getting texts from guys and stuff like that. So it's the big part of my life. It's part of my entertainment. You know, might as well be part of my work, man. But of course, anytime you're here. But I'd just like to say, you know, great being on this podcast. I had a great time. Follow me on Twitter at Biff Lawson. That's BIFFLAWSON. That's Biff Lawson. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you think, Snapchat, whatever you're on, I'm on there, Biff Lawson, and I'm great to be here. Like to talk wrestling with anybody, like to talk TV with anybody, like to talk shit. Nice guy, like to have fun.
Thanks. I'll definitely have all of your social medias and everything in the bio or in the description. And until next time, everybody, I say what I mean what I say. Haters gonna hate, players gonna play.